and welcome to the True North Show. I'm your host, Megan North, and I would like to thank our sponsors of the show, Quantum Awakening, Beth Lewis, and Anne C. Clark. So today I am joined by a beautiful friend of mine who is also my business partner. She's a major sponsor of this show and someone who isn't a stranger to being on TV with me. Beth Lewis, also known to me as Babes, is the Holistic Alchemist and founder of MYnd CENTRE, where she integrates science and soul to empower mums and families so they can heal at the cellular level, creating lives of freedom, vitality, and deep connection. At MYnd CENTRE, Beth creates a safe and supportive space for deep healing, drawing on her own journey of overcoming life's challenges. Her holistic approach weaves together breathwork, sound healing, Reiki, life and wellness coaching, and NLP, so Neuro Linguistic Programming, to release trauma stored in the body, to dissolve limiting beliefs, and nurture overall well-being, mentality, physicality, emotionally, and spiritually. By helping individuals regulate their nervous system, reduce cortisol levels, and reconnect with their inner child, she guides them toward living calmer, more grounded, and present lives. With Beth's patient guidance, her clients can heal their inner child and rediscover their sense of purpose, improve self-esteem and regain control of their lives, replace feelings of anger and resentment with meaningful connections, clear the brain fog for heightened clarity, and reduce stress and enhance energy levels. Unlike traditional therapists, Beth's intuitive style and unique methods offer transformative experiences that help others reclaim their personal power. Welcome back to the show, Beth.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm really grateful to have you here again, and I know that our conversation is going to be very deep.
I have no doubt. It's how we roll.
It is. So firstly, can you share with us what you've been up to since we last spoke, which is about a year ago was the first time that you were on the show. So what's been happening?
Yeah, wow. Oh, my goodness. I can't actually believe it's been a year. I mean, it's the end of August now of 2025. Like, that just blows my mind.
Crazy.
Interestingly, yeah, I've been on a massive journey personally and professionally. I actually, I can't remember if I mentioned in the last interview we did that I did actually give up alcohol all year last year. So that was a huge journey for me, and it's completely shifted so much for me from a health perspective, spiritual perspective, just knowing myself and loving myself. And yes, so many layers to that. We could do a whole hour just talking about that, really. So, yeah, that was a huge, huge shift for me. Mum life, I have a beautiful little boy who started school this year. So there has been a lot of that and everything that goes along with that. I know parents watching this will be like, oh, yep, that's a big one. So, yep, we've had a lot of amazing achievements and growth and all the beautiful things and a lot of challenges with all of that. But one of the biggest things that I really wanted to highlight actually since we last spoke was I've been seeing the most amazing integrative doctor for my own health, because I'm such a big, for anyone that knows me personally or who works with me knows that I'm incredibly congruent. I absolutely practice what I preach. So, yeah, I've been doing a lot of work on myself from a health perspective, especially being in my 40s. And, any woman watching this will be like, oh, yep, that happens. Yep. So, we do start changing. There's hormones and all the things. And long story short, I had a range of tests just to sort of see where everything's at in my body hormonally and toxicity and all the things. And one of the things that actually came up with this doctor, this was a few months ago now, was she looked at me and said, Beth, you have such high estrogen levels. I'm surprised you haven't murdered someone. And we actually had this big laugh. She's like, you're lucky that you haven't, been arrested, because this is, right up there. You should be really angry. And we actually ended up having a pretty profound conversation, because she looked at me and said, you must be incredibly conscious. Obviously what you do really works. I just went into how I work with people around health and well-being in so many different areas. And I said, well, look, I'm really kind to myself. My language is powerful and accepting of myself. Yes, I have my days where I probably do feel quite angry or, I still experience the range of emotions, but I practice breath work every day. So since we last spoke, I've gotten deeper and deeper and deeper into breath work and sound healing and Reiki as well. So, taking my business from more sort of, that coaching, talking, obviously therapeutic hypnosis and language and everything with NLP, but taking it really beautifully into that sort of healing space and really focusing on the science meeting soul around regulating nervous system and all the things, right? So, that's been incredible for me. Getting that feedback, I was like, wow, what I do obviously really works. I'm living proof of it, and it just makes me more passionate about sharing it with everyone. So, really excited about that.
And so what is it about high estrogen levels? Like, so if when your estrogen levels are high, does it usually trigger anger? Does it? Like, is that one of the
Absolutely, yeah. When our hormones are out of whack, and I mean any woman who's ever had a period or, been pregnant, gone through perimenopause, into menopause, different times of your cycle, it's all like this, right? Women are like, what did they say? Was it the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus or something? I can't remember who it was. It might have been when they speak about women are like waves. We go through these cycles where it's like the build up and then we crash and then the build up. So we naturally go through all of these different cycles, but we want to have our hormones at a particular balance when it comes to estrogen, testosterone, progesterone.
Okay. Yeah.
I get my words out today, but you know what I mean. All the hormones. Let's just say all the hormones.
Yeah.
And so when those are out of balance, then we're out of balance. So we can get really angry, we can feel quite depressed, we can be exhausted at all things. So really important. I'd highly recommend anyone feeling just a little bit off, or any woman, to be honest. I actually feel like I should pick it to have this government funded, because it'd be so amazing for integrative doctors to have more support when we need more of them. They just go so much deeper than standard GPs and, standard doctors, because they really do integrate Eastern and Western medicine together. So they look at the whole picture and treat you holistically, which is so, so powerful.
Yeah.
So, just feeling so much more balanced and calm.
It must have been really nice too to hear that doctor say that to you, in a sense of like a validation of, yes, all the stuff that I am doing, like I am practicing what I'm preaching, because with all the work that you do, and, I know a lot about you and your life, and I know that things can get crazy, particularly with your son and all of those sort of things, that I think sometimes we forget to reflect on where we are and what we're actually doing for ourselves. So I'm imagining that when she said that to you, it was actually quite validating.
So validating. Yeah, absolutely. And, shout out to any parents out there, but especially single mums, right? Like, as you said, it can be so intense and so full on, because when you're a single parent, it's 100% on you. There's not even somebody there to just make you a cup of tea or take just something off you. So, to be able to actually really have all of these tools for myself and these beautiful, I don't even really like the word tools anymore. It's more just ingrained into, it's my rituals. It's my, this is how I love myself. But it was also validating in another way, if I'm honest, because it doesn't matter how much work you do on yourself, and I know you'll understand this as well, we still feel angry. We still feel grief and sadness, and sometimes resentment creeps in. Like, we still feel all the emotions, but it's how we respond to those and how we navigate through things. So, I did actually we had a good laugh about it, and I said, look, I must admit, I have been feeling a lot more triggered lately. I have been I've really been trying harder to ground myself into presence. So it was actually just really validating to go, wow, those few times that I really did lose it, that wasn't actually just about me not being able to handle things or whatever. So, sometimes it's just really good to have that validation from a professional going, of course you're losing it. This is out of balance. Or of course you're losing it. You've got a lot on your plate. Like, sometimes we just need to be told that there's a reason, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I know that you and I have spoken about this before a couple of times, but because we're in the energy healing space and, you know, we're dealing with people's mental health and well-being and things, it's also from our point of view, it's often, oh my gosh, this has triggered me, but then, oh, I shouldn't be feeling like this, you know, like, you know, I need to I'm trying to walk the talk, but actually we're still human.
Oh,
And I think it's also what you just said then. It's then how do we respond to that? So, and I know you and I often say this I've heard you say it and I know you've heard me say it. It's okay to feel the feels, but just don't unpack your bags and stay there. So if
yeah.
you need to have a day on the lounge that you're feeling sad for yourself and you're grieving or you're just feeling rubbish, that's okay. But give yourself the day or a weekend, but then
Absolutely.
step back into what action do you need to take.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm.
I love that. And I think it's such a beautiful conversation to have, isn't it?
Mm.
Because I'll go back to where you first started with that. You know, I've been through that so many times in my career, like coming from corporate, 21 years, having a massive personal and professional journey of getting out of corporate, starting my own business, like the amount of times I have felt burnt out, run down, exhausted, completely triggered because, it's like, hang on a minute, but I'm doing all this work on myself. Why is that
Mm.
person still upsetting me? Or why am I so
Yeah,
triggered around my family or my
yeah.
friends all of a sudden? Or I even went through a phase of feeling really socially anxious because I was shifting and evolving so much and I wasn't really even sure what to do with that. Like
Yeah.
I started having conversations with some of my closest people thinking, but I don't know what to say now. Like, I don't know how to relate to you. So I think sometimes on this path, when you are doing a lot of work on yourself, it is actually really important to not should on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You just use that magic word, right? Because it
Yeah.
is like we can beat ourselves up a lot when it's like, oh, but I mentor people through this stuff. I shouldn't be feeling this way. Or so yeah, I've done
Yeah.
a lot of work around that now where I do feel, I'm not saying it's perfect all the time because it never will be, right? To your
Yeah.
point, we are human.
We're human. Yeah.
And there's times when, especially once again as a single mum, that I don't get sleep.
Mm-hmm.
If my son's unwell, we just went through a bout of, gosh, as you know, we had influenza A, and then my poor little guy ended up in hospital for a couple of days and lost my beautiful dog. So there's been grieving around that. She was my daughter of 13 years. So my heart's still very fragile around that. And, so yeah, but instead of, to your point exactly, it's like you can have those days on the couch. And I really love that saying, you've got to feel it to heal it.
Mm.
It doesn't mean, I think the difference is now is when I first heard that, it was like, but does that mean you let it consume you? Like there's a bit of a grey area there. The
Mm.
difference is once you actually have all of these beautiful healing rituals and modalities and actually just the ability to surrender,
Mm.
I think is everything.
Yeah.
Surrender and presence. So now instead of being dropped to my knees in a really horrendous way, I might still be dropped to my knees, but it's more I'll drop to my knees and put my hand on my heart and go, I'm feeling every bit of this right now, and I'm actually just going to honour that.
Yeah.
And what do I feel like I need? Do I need to pick up the phone and call a beautiful
Mm-hmm.
friend and have those words? Do I need to go and get out in nature? Or do I need to hide under a blanket and order a pizza and eat my feelings a little bit, like, and actually, yeah, like
Yeah.
have the day, the couple of days, however long you need, and
Yeah.
then you just kind of take a deep breath, put your hand on your heart and go, okay, because I allowed myself to sit in it,
Yeah.
now I feel like I can take whatever little baby step. It doesn't even have to be
Yeah.
a lot. It might just be, okay, well, I still don't even have the energy to cook because I'm sitting in grief or, pain or whatever it is.
Mm.
I might order a salad on Uber Eats instead of
Yeah.
it. It could just be that's the step, right? Because I
Yeah.
think we put too much pressure on ourselves that's why I love the Abraham Hicks scale of emotions. It's
Yeah.
like we can't expect to go from, grief and depression and
Mm.
despair all the way up to joy and elation in one step,
Yeah.
like going from darkness to a lesser level of darkness that's a step.
Yeah.
That's a win. So I
Yeah.
think sometimes we forget to celebrate that
Yeah.
and just
And
accept it.
and no one else is keeping score. It's only us. It's just the pressure that we put on ourselves. It's funny when you were saying about the shouldering because one of my one of my nieces she doesn't say it as much anymore because I'm pretty good with it, but every now and then she's said to me, Oh, Auntie Megan, are you shuddering all over yourself again?
I love that. I love when we have said it so much that then other people, like, you can't get away with any of, like, not taking your own
No.
advice, right? My son does it to me as well, 5.5 years old, and he'll have those little moments where it's, Mummy, you seem a little frustrated. I think you need to go and have some space, or do you need to take a deep breath? Like, so beautiful.
That's
I'm
cute.
so proud of him. I have to share this morning. We've been talking a lot about reframing language because obviously he's learning about his relationship with himself, especially in his first year of school. And I'm so proud, when you've been working on things and then you see them have a little process and it's like, oh, this is so good. He had a moment this morning where he did something and he went, oh, I'm so stupid. And we've been really talking about this reframing of that language. Before I even said anything, he stopped himself and he went, oh, no, I'm not. I'm just a little bit silly sometimes. It was so beautiful.
That's
like,
beautiful.
yay!
Yeah.
And I didn't make a massive deal out of it, but I just looked at him and said, well done, buddy. Good reframe. We can all be a little bit silly sometimes. Sometimes we just do silly things. And we just had a good laugh about it. And you could tell he was so proud of himself for picking up on that. And I was like, oh.
I love that. I love it. That's so cute. And because I know him as well, like I can just give that, oh, no,
So he even did the hand. He was like, oh, no, I'm not. God love him.
That's really cute. Thank you for sharing that.
No worries.
So usually my question is, what was the defining moment that led you to pursue your true passion and purpose? But I'm kind of thinking that do you want to start from the beginning, or do you want to talk about specifically where you are at the moment, maybe with the breath work and the sound healing and that part of your passion and purpose that you're working on at the moment?
I actually think that, I think that would be perfect.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this might resonate with a few people.
Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know me or doesn't know my journey, just a super brief couple of bullet points. I struggled with mental, emotional, physical, spiritual stuff since I was really young. Parents got divorced, my skin exploded, I had digestive issues, all through my 20s, went through so much stuff. We've all got a story, we've all got a journey, we've all got some form of trauma, and when I ended up studying, and because I obviously was in corporate for such a long time, but always knew I wanted to do something different. I'd had so many breakthroughs with finding somebody like an integrative doctor and found all these amazing modalities and, obviously got into life coaching, NLP, and really started recognizing, wow, when I work on my mind and my body, everything follows, but like everything you work on, it's like that beautiful waterfall. So it's like, wow, if my emotions are good, then my body feels better. And for someone who lives with chronic pain or, has had a lot of experience with chronic pain, knowing that and being able to actually harness that, they're two very different things. So finding the right people to work with, et cetera, et cetera. But where I've landed with all of this and how I sort of really came to be so passionate about breath work with sound healing and Reiki. And I mean, I'm the daughter of a yoga teacher, so I've always been open to, different modalities and things, and really love and have always felt drawn to ancient wisdom. And one of the biggest breakthroughs for me was actually starting to study psychoneuroimmunology. And I may have mentioned this in our interview last time, but just for anyone that doesn't know what that is, because it's quite a big word, PNI, we can call it, a little bit easier. But it's the study of our endocrine system, our nervous system and our immune system and how they're all linked. And what it actually teaches you is that we don't talk about mind-body connection, it's mind-body. It's all connected. It's all one and the same. It's not connected in a way that it's like, oh, they're separate things. It's all connected. So I was exposed to breath work about 10 years ago. I didn't actually even know it was really called breath work. I just went to this amazing retreat with a man named Michael Adamides. Anyone watching, look him up. He's like the grandfather of a lot of this work. He's absolutely incredible. And I was at a 2-day retreat called Love and Power, which was amazing. And he actually just said, okay, so I think this group can handle it. Let's do a rebirthing experience. And that was 90 minutes of essentially breakthrough breathwork, holotropic breathwork, conscious connected breathing, whatever we want to call it. So I didn't really know a lot about the science or anything then. It was just like, cool, I'm here, I'll do it. Let's give it a go. And it was honestly beyond transformational. And obviously having a mum as a yoga teacher, I have been exposed to, like alternate breathing and different things throughout the years. And we all know that when we breathe, we feel good, right?
Yeah.
It's quite simple. If we don't
It's
breathe,
pretty important.
Exactly. And we all experience those moments when we're, running around and we're feeling that feeling of constant fight or flight all the time. Our sympathetic nervous system is completely activated. We don't ever feel relaxed even when we're relaxing. And I am definitely one of those people who was guilty of that for such a long time and I couldn't figure out why. And me being me and being super, super curious, I have just gone deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into different modalities, and breathwork came around again. I saw this a beautiful event by a guy named Dan P, who is gorgeous. He runs a business called Spirit Breathwork, and he does this beautiful tour around Australia and some parts of New Zealand called Heart Awakening. I've had some friends that have been, become breathwork practitioners and everything as well. So I was just starting to do some one-on-ones with them and whatnot, and just dipping my toe into it, and saw this Heart Awakening tour and went, this sounds amazing. 3 hours, cacao, yin yoga, breathwork, so beautiful. And that was really transformational. And I just felt super called to follow my heart with this. I'm very big on follow the feeling. So especially big on, wounds to wisdom and pains to purpose and all of that as well. So if something has been super transformational for me, I'm so excited about it, and I can't wait to share it with other people, because I'm like, this could help so many people. I want to help more people. I want to shine this light on more people. So, I ended up doing my breathwork certification last year. So that all happened last year. And I've had multiple one-on-one clients now and run a few groups, and it's honestly, it's so heartwarming to see the results that clients get. So a perfect example of this, one of my clients came to me with stage 4 adrenal burnout. She was just, oh my goodness, she'd been through severe trauma, so much, carrying so much. And manic, like just super, super manic. The poor darling was so chronically stressed all the time. And we did a few coaching sessions, and when I got her on the mat to do breath work, and I taught her some primer breaths, which are like short breaths she can practice at home, and some relaxation breathing as well, like the softer breathing, because there's different types of breath work as well. We've got our slower types of breathing and then our faster types of breathing. So there's actually different ways we can activate our sympathetic nervous system in a safe way, but also our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest. So it's actually starting to gain a little bit more connection and control with our own bodies, working on our cells being more oxygenated and that being passed around our bodies more effectively and efficiently. There's so much science behind this. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
But seeing this work before my eyes with this beautiful woman, we'd come so far with doing some NLP and coaching and everything anyway, only after about 5 sessions. And then I got her on the mat, and she left and sent me a message saying, I have never felt this safe in my own body. Wow. And I just got goosebumps.
So did I. I just got chills. Wow.
Absolutely incredible, right? And she actually ended up, and I'm not suggesting everyone does this when they come to breathwork, but she was in a bit of a horrendous relationship, and she released so much in this session. She had a massive emotional release, like big cry, let go of all of these limiting beliefs and stories and everything. And obviously I was supporting her with extra coaching. And she actually ended up leaving her partner, has built this amazing life for herself, like just completely transformed. And that's by introducing all of these modalities and, and obviously her doing the work, because I know you know this obviously more than a lot of people. Unfortunately, I mean, it's like a personal trainer. If you're a personal trainer and somebody comes to you and says, right, make me fit and skinny, or, whatever, it's like, well, I can just teach you a few things and coactively support you, but you have to show up and do the work. And sometimes people they don't want to feel a certain way, so they just want it to go away.
Yeah.
As opposed to really leaning in and leaning into, you know, like a therapist like yourself or like me who holds a beautiful, safe, non-judgmental space for them to be able to lean in so they feel safe enough to release, but they've got to be willing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's been so beautiful. And then adding sound healing to it has been a whole nother layer. That's been quite a journey in itself. As you know, I've shared the process with you. So, yeah, part of that has been a big breakthrough for me as well, because I love music. I've always loved music. I was a performer when I was a kid, you know, danced on stages. I was in School Spectacular and all the things and all, too funny when I think about it, that young girl who was so excited to get on stage in front of people, right?
Yeah.
And I played the flute at the Opera House, so I've always loved that. But, yeah, getting into sound healing, it's such a different, like, beautiful way to have that sense of creation of music, but there's, you know, it's in this healing frequency and it's literally the vibrations through your body. And obviously there's so much science behind this as well. But, yeah, as you know, one of my biggest challenges has been activating my voice. And interestingly, I was like, oh, but I'm not a singer. I'm not, you know, all the limiting beliefs coming up. And it's been such a phenomenal journey because now when I use my voice, people say, oh, my gosh, it's so beautiful. So, yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it, when you go through as the mentor, you have having all your own little breakthroughs along the way. And it's like, I'm still a work in progress too, guys. Like, I just, you know, I think that's why people, and I don't want to sound, you know, I don't even need to put the disclaimer there. It's, you know, I know people will get this, like people feel safe with people like myself and you because we're actually just real. We're authentic.
Yeah.
You know, we don't pretend that we know everything.
Yeah.
But we're so incredibly connected and so passionate to what we do that people naturally feel that. They're like, that's real.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that point that you made. I think it's really important for people to be really kind to themselves too, in the sense of when you step into wanting to work on some stuff, it is actually it's not often easy, particularly if you're going to start on a journey of starting to work through, if it's trauma or even if it's just some things that you want to change, some belief systems. This work isn't particularly easy, and I understand why people want to just take a drug because that's easier, or they just want to ignore it because the process sometimes is not an easy process. But when you get onto the other side of it and you start to see the benefit, that's when I think then you start to, because it becomes a bit addictive in a sense too, because it's like, oh, I just did that and I feel really good. What else can I do? And as a healer, I know myself, sometimes I'm like, oh, I haven't done any work on myself for a while. I wonder if I need to do any work. And then I think, oh, no, I'm pretty good, you know, or something will come up and I'm like, okay, I need to work on that. But it does become quite addictive. But it's not, like, I don't want people to think that we're sitting here going, oh, well, my journey's been amazing. It has been amazing, but it's been hard.
Absolutely, yeah. And I love that you're shining a light on that. And that's why I wanted to mention that before, because I think some people think, oh, you know, I'll go to a personal development course or I'll go and have a healing or I'll have a reading or I'll go and do a breathwork session and I'll be gone because I'm ready to let this go and I don't want to feel like this anymore. So done. And no, it doesn't work like that.
Well, sometimes it does, but
well, that's right. Depends on how heavy the stuff is too.
Correct. Yeah.
But then, I feel like, everything's a journey, and I think it's so important to remind people that yes, there are cases where that can happen because different people, old souls, new souls, life experience, willingness, true willingness to embody and drop in and let go. Whereas, you know, like I've got certain clients that, oh my goodness, they'll come in and just be so open because they're so ready. It's like everything's ready. Their third eye's over there, everything's ready. And they're just like, right, let's do this. They don't even want to know what the process is. They're like, tell me what's going on. I'll try anything, let's go. And they're the ones that, especially when they go away and I give them, you know, a few things to maybe read or ponder on or whatever, they do everything. They really do the work. But then, there are certain people who, especially, you know, let's be really kind for a moment. There are people who have struggled with really severe trauma. And I mean, like trauma is trauma, right? And everybody, it's like a pain threshold. So, you know, like somebody could get slapped and another person could get slapped and somebody could laugh about getting slapped and it could really hurt the other person, right? So it's a really different journey for everybody. You could go through exactly the same thing as somebody else and have a completely different response based on your journey up to that point and how you're put together from a social perspective, physical perspective, everything. So, you know, and there are different cases where, you know, I'm a big believer and we have all of these tools in our tool belt, and sometimes medication is actually one of those tools, right? So, you know, like I've taken medication at different times in my life when I've really, really needed it. And it's been one of those tools. But one thing that I've definitely learned is you can heal so many things. Like I'm such a firm believer in that we have such an innate ability to heal ourselves on every single level. And I really want to honor anyone watching this who is triggered by this conversation, because I remember when I was in the space of going through, you know, like having a back injury, I had to have knee surgery. I was having constant injuries. This was a lot through my 20s, and I was really stuck in that victim mentality around, oh my God, why? Like, why does this keep happening to me? Every time I get on a good path, you know, something else happens. And that was my belief system. Now I understand it all. But at the time, and that's why I'm saying I want to honor this for anyone who's in that space, that is your reality at that time. So I'll never forget the first time somebody sort of said to me, oh, have you actually looked into, you know, the connection between the mind and the body? And, you know, we do manifest dis-ease in our body and, you know, we create our own suffering and that kind of thing. And at that time, I wasn't ready to hear it. I was just like, oh my God, F you. Like, you don't understand what I'm going through. How dare you? I created this myself. How dare you? Like, it made me even angrier about my situation because I felt completely invalidated. So, so I really just want to honor that for anyone who does feel really stuck in that horrible cycle of look, let's just be honest, it's crap feeling like that, and it is painful. So, you know, not validating anyone out there. So sometimes when you are in your deepest, darkest times, you know, you really do need a different type of support. But if we can give anyone a bit of a shining light and encouragement, I'm living proof that you can absolutely shift all of that. I'm somebody who's gone through multiple surgeries, multiple issues, injuries, literally living with chronic pain to the point of I ended up doing a pain management program at a hospital once because it was affecting me so much in every area of my life. It really was consuming. And long story short, like going through all of these modalities, nutrition, so important, because one of the things I was doing at that time to numb the feeling and the chronic pain was taking painkillers. Obviously, I was in pain, right? So no judgment around that. But I was drinking more than I probably should as well to also numb the pain, because people don't realise there's a massive mental and emotional struggle that comes with living with chronic pain as well, and it's not really talked about enough. So, you know, you get stuck in a vicious cycle with that, and it's really hard to pull yourself out of it. So this is where things like breathwork and nutrition and seeing the right doctors that can give you the right advice about your cells, how they communicate, your inflammation in your body, how much of an influence your gut has over pain. It's incredible. And when you have a regulated nervous system, how that literally changes your life. There's actually studies in science. This is one of the many reasons why I love breathwork so much and why it's so powerful. And there's tons of studies and research papers on this. The diaphragm. The diaphragm is essentially the glue that holds the body together. And there's all of these links between shoulder pain, back pain, etc., all linked to the diaphragm. So like one of my mentors who I'm doing extra training through at the moment, he actually says he tells people to stop training their abs at the gym and start training their diaphragm, because the abs are superficial. The diaphragm, when you're breathing correctly and you've got a regulated nervous system, your cells are more oxygenated, you actually increase your ability to heal so much better. It's like, if you're sleeping and you don't cycle through all of your rhythms.
Yeah.
And your deep REM sleep is when your body actually heals.
Yeah. Yeah.
And breathwork helps you sleep as well, right?
Yeah.
So literally doing something like breathwork, incredible. So what I've noticed on my journey is actually nurturing myself, showing up for myself, giving up alcohol. Like I have the occasional glass of wine every now and then now, but I don't even crave it anymore. I'm like, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Once you realize how phenomenal you feel with it, I know you get this, you just feel so good without it. Toxicity, removing the toxicity out of your body. So many
I love that.
During.
And one of the things also that I love that you said to people listening, like honor yourself of where you are as well. One of the things that I often say to people or clients of mine as well is that the fact that you've booked in to see me and you've paid a fee to do some work together, you're already 3/4 of the way there. Because you've actually honored yourself, realized and said, I actually want to work on this. And so once you're with us, often the stuff is shifted a lot quicker as well, because you've given the universe that like a sign to say, okay, I'm ready to move this on. I'm actually going to invest in myself to move this on. And I find that those sort of things happen a lot quicker. And one of the things that I've had someone say to me before, my husband, I'd love him to come and have a reading with you. He should come and have a reading. And in my head, I'm like, never say that someone should come, and because that person can only come when they're ready themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? Yep. And I love that you said that because, I say the same thing to my clients, even when they first book in for an initial chat, just to check out if I'm their person or to ask for some advice, because I offer a free call for anybody who's in need. I do a 30-minute support session, and I do that because I struggled for such a long time to find help and find support. And I've been through so much on so many levels, and I'm so tapped in and connected to so many phenomenal professionals, Eastern medicine, Western medicine, spirituality, all the things. So genuinely, if I'm not your person, I'll probably know who is. No. Right? So I just love helping people find some answers. And so as soon as we have our first conversation, one of the first things I say is that you're already healing. Yeah. It's like they're so broken and they're just like, oh my God, I just don't even know where to start. It's like you've started. This is even putting a post on Facebook, in a group saying, does anyone know anyone who does this? That's a step. Yeah. Just admitting that you might need some help with something is a step. Your healing journey has started. And I'll share something quickly because I think this might resonate with a few viewers, and I know you'll love this one. I had one client come in, God love her, she's so beautiful, so organised and structured, and part of her childhood wounds actually, and I know a lot of women can really relate to this, we're not comfortable unless everything's perfect and we can control the situation. So it's like, oh my God, when things are messy or things feel out of my control, it's like, oh, I'm losing my mind. So the poor darling was so like, okay, all right, well, I'm here. So what does this healing journey look like? Like, I need to know everything. Like she wanted me to literally map it out for her. And I just laughed and said, oh, sweetheart, this is the first piece of work we're going to do. Your ability to surrender is so non-existent that this is actually what is causing you so much distress. Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to tap into this beautiful little girl of yours internally for you and actually uncover where this story was created around, if I'm not in control and everything's not perfect and I don't know everything that's happening next, I'm not safe. I'm not safe, yeah. Wow. She was riddled with anxiety. Yeah. And when she, and I looked at her and I said, I know, that's really hard. Yeah. That's really hard for you, but trust yourself. You've been guided here. You're already healing, as we were just saying. You're already healing. We're on the journey. So let's go. And she was actually incredible. It took a lot. Like, we spent a lot of time in that first session really looking at her language, reframing things, unpacking a few things from her childhood. We did some NLP and timeline therapy. And even in timeline therapy, it was incredible what came up for her around her particular childhood and what she'd been through. And it was very, very clear from that moment where these belief systems came from. And even just uncovering that, and I know that you get this, and anyone who's had this experience truly understands this feeling. Sometimes we don't even need to heal it. It just has to, it's like our self-sabotage patterns, or why we do certain things, or why some things might be harder for us than other people.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just having that epiphany, this being brought to our consciousness, like, oh my God, of course that's harder for me. This happened when I was 5, or my parents never gave me the reassurance or the validation or that feeling of safety that I truly needed or craved as a child when I was emotional and I needed them. Or, it can just be something like that just pops, and it's like, wow, that shifts it in itself.
Yeah. So, it's like a recognition almost, isn't it? Like, now I understand why that affects me or triggers me. So, yeah, you're right. Sometimes it doesn't even need to be healed. It's just that I understand why that's there. I can actually move on from that now because there's no story attached anymore because I know why it's there.
100%. And that's the power of it, right? It's like we said at the beginning, everybody has a journey, everybody has a story. Yeah. But sometimes what we can do, and I was really stuck in this for a very long time, I was really stuck in my story. And what so many people at the beginning of their journey don't realize, because I sure as hell didn't, is that it's not invalidating any of your experiences, excusing shitty behavior, excuse my language, excusing shitty behavior, or, like invalidating yourself in any way, and not saying that you haven't been through trauma or anything like that. But what it's doing is actually allowing you to, like my favorite Peter Crone quote, love Peter Crone, obsessed. Anyone who hasn't heard of him, please look him up. He's so inspirational. My favorite quote of his is, what happened, happened, and it couldn't have happened any other way because it didn't. And I'll admit, when I first heard that, I was actually in the middle of some really big stuff. I was going through some big stuff, and I heard it and I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. And then I listened to it a number of times because I felt, how sometimes you can hear something and you actually have a physiological reaction like it's true, but then your mind comes in to hijack it. But
no, it doesn't.
Exactly. But I'm comfortable over here in my pain and limiting beliefs, and this feels safer for me, even though I don't like it, and it's not getting me anywhere, and it's keeping me stuck, and all the things. It's like, but this actually feels normal, And on that, actually, I want to talk about a regulated nervous system for a moment, because this is something a lot of my clients experience, and it's definitely something I can relate to. A lot of people feel uncomfortable when they first start healing and even starting to attempt to relax or regulate their nervous system or breathe, because so many people are stuck in that state of fight or flight, stress. And they could have grown up in a household where they were in fight or flight a lot.
Yeah.
They've always had relationships like that. So when you first start doing this work, you can actually have this physiological reaction to, but this feels weird. It actually feels weird and strange to not be in fight or flight all the time. So it's like going to the gym and exercising a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger it gets. And all of a sudden your whole nervous system just goes, wow, oh, this is so much better. This is so nice. And before you know it, it becomes a state of being. And it's so hard to pull yourself out of that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people these days, well, I don't think I know, there's so much research around this. I mean, there's proof and studies that anxiety's gone up 25% since COVID. And we've got a population of people who are so, how many people are running off to get ADHD diagnoses and all the things at the moment, and obviously not telling anyone not to do that. It's everyone's journey, right? But so many people that actually have those type of symptoms, like going through trauma, having gut issues, being exposed to mold, all these different things, they can mimic those symptoms.
Yeah.
So I'll encourage anyone who's going through stuff, feeling really anxious, feeling like they can't focus, brain fog, all the things. So much of that can be healed holistically with really beautiful natural therapies in breathwork, and your breath's free, you know,
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
the best thing. But what a lot of people don't realize as well is, you know, we don't have an autonomic response to relax.
Yeah.
So we actually have to teach ourselves to relax. And these days, unfortunately, if we think about the caveman days, of course we need to be able to just fight or flight. That sympathetic nervous system is autonomic. That happens because, you know, if we see a tiger, we've got to know to run. But unfortunately, I mean, yeah, you're never just going to sit there and go, oh, it's okay, I'm fine.
Put my phone out and take a photo.
Exactly, like something's charging at you. It's all right, I'm so calm. Like, that'd be a problem, right? So, you know, but what a lot of people don't realize, unfortunately, is we actually have a stress cycle which is meant to complete. So back then, what would happen is you see a tiger, fight or flight gets activated, our body gets charged with adrenaline and cortisol, and you fight or you flee, you run. But what happens now is that last part doesn't happen, because most of the time when people go into fight or flight, it's sitting at their desk and an email's upset them, or they've had an argument with a work colleague, or they're sitting at the dinner table arguing with their partner, or stressing about finances, or whatever, you know, kids are annoying you, or, you know, whatever it is. And you're getting charged with adrenal fatigue, basically, because that's where you end up. You're getting charged with all this adrenaline and cortisol, and you're not fighting and you're not fleeing. So it's actually going nowhere. So you end up in this horrendous cycle of just being completely burnt out.
Yeah, yeah. I also think too, the interesting thing is that I think I often get to the point, particularly on a weekend, where I try to make sure that I get bored at some stage as well, because I feel like that's when my brain just gets emptied and then I start to get inspired again. My husband had a week off last week, and I know he told you this because he was talking to you a couple of days into it and said, he had a week off, and by the Monday afternoon he was already bored, but that was a good thing for him. I mean, he ended up doing a few things, but he realized even himself that he needed that to actually sort of flush the brain. And I think people feel there's a guilt around, like, are you doing anything on the weekend? You know, I'm not sure. And it's like, I love when I've got a weekend that I don't have anything on. It's glorious. Yeah. I mean, you particularly, yeah. But I think that, you know, we need to learn again that it's actually okay to be a bit bored or not have something to do and just rest, because our body needs it.
Our body needs it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I love that. I love that you've called attention to that. I say that, you know, any parent out there would know this. Like, gosh, your kids are they're sensory and they want to be busy, busy, busy all the time. And I say to my son all the time when he says, but I'm bored, because he'll say, oh, can I have something on your phone, or can we play a game, or, you know, and sometimes I'll just say, oh, you know what, sweetheart, we're on our way home from school. Why don't you just look out the window? And he's like, but I'm bored. And I'm like, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
You know what you can do while you're looking out the window? And he's like, what? And I'll just ask him a thought-provoking question, something like, how about you think about something that you've never done that you'd really love to do one day, even when you're much bigger? Or sometimes you can look out the window and just notice what you see. So tell me if you see any puppy dogs on the way home, or, you know, like just little things like that, because obviously it's a lot harder with a child, right?
Yeah.
But it's so, so important. That's why I love, you know, if I go for walks, I love going for a walk without my headphones in.
Yep, same.
We can all get into that habit of constantly being on. And this is why so many people, especially people, you know, stuck in that cycle, they're on the treadmill, they're in the corporate world, they're pressured, they're stressed, you know, too much caffeine to wake up during the day, you know, pumping themselves full of all the wrong foods, and then they need alcohol to chill out at night. I was stuck in that cycle for such a long time. It was like, oh my God, I'm so tired, I've had a crappy sleep, because I was stressed and going through a lot. But then you come home and drink alcohol, which also affects your sleep. So you still have another crappy sleep, you know, and you're stuck in this cycle. And then you go on holidays and you're so excited about this holiday. And as soon as you start relaxing, you get sick. And it's like, oh, this is so unfair. And then, you know, you're only just starting to get better before you have to go back to work, right? So many people live in that cycle because they're stuck in that cycle of stress. So, yeah, I totally agree. It's like, sometimes one of the best things you can do, one of my old mentors who I worked with for a while, I love the way he explains it actually. He talks about the difference between meditation and pondering.
Oh, okay.
So I really love pondering.
Yeah.
So I'll go and take myself to a bit like out in nature is
Mm-hmm.
absolutely the best. You know, so lucky living in this part of the world near the ocean. I'm always
Mm-hmm.
so happy near the ocean. But it doesn't have to be anywhere spectacular, even if you're in an apartment building and you've got a balcony or you've, like anywhere.
Yeah.
But it's really good to get out and have some fresh air and not be, closed in.
Yeah.
But just sit somewhere and just stare into nature.
Mm. Yeah.
And it is actually incredible what comes up for you.
Mm.
One of my favorite sayings from him actually is you'll never get the question from the place, you'll never find the answer from the place you ask the question.
Yeah. Yeah.
So especially if you're at a crossroads in your life or you're stressing about money or should I leave this person or, whatever it is, you're trying to make some big decisions, just stop.
Mm.
Just stop, because the more energy you put into like fighting for the answers or, if you're struggling with things, you end up just like this with yourself,
Yeah.
get nowhere. And from that space, you usually make the wrong decision for yourself as well, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because you're
Not
not
choosing.
tuning in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you believe that we've only got a couple of minutes left? I've
Oh my
asked you
goodness, we could
one
talk
question.
forever. I'm not surprised. It's gone so fast.
I've only asked you one question. It's hilarious.
I love it. I
There's all
love
these
it.
other things that, anyway, you'll have to come back, definitely.
Oh, well, anytime.
I'm going to ask you the same question that I ask all of my guests before we finish our conversation. So, what is one lesson or truth that you've learned on your journey that you wish you had known earlier?
Oh, I love this question. It's actually really, really simple.
Mm?
It's all connected. All
Wow.
connected. And if you can regulate your nervous system, heal your gut, fuel yourself with beautiful things, and that includes filtering what you watch, what you listen to, what's your language, focus on love and empowerment for yourself, your whole life will be different.
Wow. That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
It was really interesting when you said that too, because all of a sudden it just went silent. Just because I was like, oh, it's very profound. Like I just heard this beautiful sense of silence in our conversation. It was
Which
really
doesn't happen
beautiful.
often.
No.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us
Oh,
today.
you're so welcome. Thank you for having
You're
me.
welcome. And I really love the fact that, like, even though we're extremely close and speak probably at least once a day, I still have learned something new about you today. So thank you for
Yay!
that.
I
And
love
thank
it. There's
you.
always more. There's always more.
And thank you also for just being so open and sharing your experiences and everything that you've been through too, because I have no doubt that you'll have inspired others that have either watched or listened to this. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. I hope so. That's the sole purpose. You can
Yes,
absolutely change your life, anyone. You can do anything and you can heal from anything. It is possible.
definitely. Yeah. And so I'd also like to thank all of our amazing and dedicated audience, our supporters, and to our sponsors. And I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of the week. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you, Beth. See you.
Bye.